On today's show, we have Nick and Russ from Nick and Russ Don't Know Anything. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having us. How are you?
Good. Oh,
Good.
man. So I'm a huge fan of your show. I've listened to a bunch of your episodes, and I watch you guys every time you go live on Facebook. How did you guys...
you're the one audience member we have.
Yeah. Come on, that can't be true because, you guys have to be wildly popular.
Well, I mean, we have some good numbers. I would say some decent numbers. It's really funny because the analytics, we were analyzing it because we were doing a really good pacing with our podcast download. And then we noticed that it kind of slowed down. And I went to trace it all the way back to it's when we started doing vodcasting.
Okay.
So we kind of split our audience there. We were like, and I was like, what do we do? And we just like, let's just stay the course. We like doing the live stuff and doing the podcasting, and we throw our stuff down on the podcasting. So everybody can get Nick and Russ wherever, except for Pandora.
Right. I know. Yeah.
I heard you
but
guys.
The weirdest thing is like
when
we went, it's weird that they haven't put us on yet. You would think that we were doing like a pornographic show or something, but it's weird. So anyway,
maybe I should stop putting in the tags gay porn.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe that's what's stopping it.
That might help.
Are you putting gay porn in it? What's wrong with you, man?
The hashtags, the tags.
So how did you guys get started? I mean, you guys, just met and decided, hey, let's do a podcast?
We bumped into each other at a furry convention. No, I'm kidding. I hope that it's okay for us to be this way with you on your podcast.
Totally. It gives people insight into how your show is. So it's okay.
Yeah, we met at a weight loss program. I was 250 pounds more version of me that met Nick, and it was he had already been there, and I walked in day one, and at the break he was like, another guy, and I was like, what? Like, what am I getting into here? And he gave me a big old hug, and like from that point on, we became the bestest of friends.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, because that program has mainly women that are like, I would say the demographic for the majority of the women are 55 and over, so they're a little bit overweight and that kind of thing. So, and usually, I don't know, like, wouldn't you say like some of them don't? I would probably say like half of them don't have a job or something. It's like, it's so strange. I don't know. It's weird. Because I'm like, don't they have a job?
Yep.
Don't they have a job? No, I'm kidding, but it's just funny. Like everybody's got on their own journey. So
we had the same sense of humor, and we would laugh at each other's jokes when other people wouldn't. Like we both left the program, not at the same time, but for our own reasons, and we still kind of kept up with each other to see how each other was doing, and instead of like wellness checkups with each other, it became how pissed off we were about the current situations going on. Right. And then Nick was like, we need to do something together. Let's write a book. And I was like, all right, I'm good. And he was like, let's do a blog. I'm like, all right, that's good. And he goes, let's do a podcast. I'm like, all right, I'm fine. And he goes, well, let's not do a podcast about weight loss because that might get boring. Let's do one about current events and other stuff. And I was like, hey, I'm on board. So we hit that.
There's only so much that you can talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, because our program that we joined, we got rid of flour and sugar, and there's only so many times you can tell people get rid of flour and sugar if you want to lose weight before they're like, all right, we heard that 3 episodes in. So.
Yeah, that gets kind of old if you keep mentioning it every episode,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing we could do is like give recipes, but how are you going to describe stuff, auditorily, if you put this salt, this, But anyway, so we've had fun. We do a whole bunch of things. We're like a variety. We've interviewed lawyers, we've interviewed politicians, we've interviewed authors. We do our own thing
actors,
sometimes.
Authors, yeah.
And we just did a episode that it was live for our Facebook and YouTube on Sunday, and it was the conspiracy theory one, and that drops on Wednesday. And we're like, hey, let's do debate recaps. So tomorrow night we got 3 special guests coming on after the debates. We got a person who's running for a political seat in Texas, and we've got another person who has started a podcast that they're going to be It's called I'm Running for Something. I forgot what it is. I'm Running For.
Running for
Anyway,
office, I think.
and that's her new
I forgot what it was
podcast.
called, so.
Her name is Claudia. And then the politician we have on is Brandy Chambers. We've had her on before. And then we've got our usual guy, who we call him our field correspondent, Gino. And we're all going to just recap the heck out of this debate tomorrow night.
Wow.
It's not going to be it's not going to be like the other one, I'm assuming, because you got two straight-laced politicians doing it. So it's going to be very, very in the up and up.
But I'm
actually very excited.
I'm actually very excited for you guys to cover it, because I listened to your previous one about the presidential debate recap, and you guys, I just love listening to you guys. You guys are funny, but
well, thank you.
But please explain to me where "Spread Your Love but Lawfully" came from.
That was actually the first episode. So we were talking about love in general, and then the next thing you know, it's like, well, you got to do it lawfully, and I'm like, yeah, and then I'm like, well, what do you mean by lawfully? Like, because we didn't understand, right? So I'm like, are you talking about like don't pay for it? Like, you know what I mean? That's what was going on in my head, and then Russell brought it up. He's like, no, like don't rape anybody, don't molest anybody, don't sexually assault anybody, and I was like, oh, so that so it's interesting, like how two different points of view came out of that. And then I'm like, well, we need to say that like at every episode. I think that would be kind of cool, especially in the Me Too movement. We want to be as politically correct as we can be, because we are, we do say a lot of like, F-bombs and whatever on the show. So and we drop
offend
them,
a lot of people.
We offend a lot of people.
I think our number one,
basically, yeah, go ahead.
We have two demographics we offend a lot. They're the Trump supporters and vegans.
And the vegans, yeah. And the thing is that I was a vegan for a year and a half, so I know exactly how wonderful the vegans are, because I was an asshole. Whoa, sorry, can I say asshole?
That's fine.
I don't even know. Okay. Because I was a bit of an asshole for a year and a half there, being a vegan. So
yeah, and for me, it only took a week to determine I was an asshole when I was a vegan, and so I stopped.
I was laughing out loud because I listened to that episode where you spoke about being an asshole. While you were vegan.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, you should see. Well, what's so crazy is like we have a lot of. So I don't know. I didn't realize I grew up with so many Trump supporters, like people that I broke bread with and stuff like. It's the strangest thing. I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe, like a Kelly Conway alternative facts universe. It's like it's strange. So that's why I love doing the show.
But
after every episode, Nick unfriends somebody on his Facebook.
Well, he was just telling me before the show how he's surprised he hasn't lost any clients or friends or anything, because of his.
Well, yeah, no, it's amazing that I haven't lost any Republican clients. It's like it's odd, like. So I'm like, it's the weirdest thing, because it's like they all see my rants on Facebook and my show, and they all see that that I'm not really the biggest lover of Trump, right? So it's odd that I still have.
It's because he's so good at his job.
Right. That's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
He's such a good CPA that they're like, we'll look past the fact that he hates Trump.
Right.
I still gotta get the accounting work done and the tax work done. So
somebody has to do it. But
yeah.
So when did you guys start vodcasting and doing the live shows? Was it as quarantine hit?
August 1st.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Our first episode, podcast-wise, was June 20th or 22nd. I think it's
this
20th.
year.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the
we
20th,
decided to go live the first time because we first was starting with Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And we had issues somewhat with Zoom. The only thing that we really liked with Zoom was that you could separate the audio channel out for everybody, so that if you need to go back and mix something or fix something, it was real easy.
Okay.
But then we stumbled on to StreamYard, and we really love StreamYard, and we just dove right into it. And then we went live because we created the convention PodVCon.
Right.
And we wanted everybody for that to go live. And so I was like, Nick, we're going live for the first time. And we just kind of like loved it, because we got to actually interact with audience members. Like they would like
Yeah.
give us comments, and we were like, oh, that's wonderful. You know, like we can have this banter back and forth between not only Nick and I, but also our audience. And it also made it somewhat easy too, because if we set up everything in StreamYard, you know, you got your intro, you got your break, you got your outro, you play all that, you have like very little editing that you might have to do.
Right. Exactly.
So it just made sense.
And
I mean,
by
if
the
we
way,
can get
live,
something out,
what I love about live is that the moment that we're live, this is for me anyway, I feel like I got to be on point, and it's like I'm a lot more conscious at that moment versus when we were just doing it for taping, because I was like, oh, we can edit it out. Oh, okay, we can edit it
Right.
out, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, so then it's like, so suddenly first of all, I'm glad that the first month and a half, obviously, I didn't know it was August 1st, but between June 20th and August 1st, whatever that month and a half or so period, whatever that was, I'm glad that we did it the way we did it, because I was always, it was a learning curve for me. Like I needed to shut up at certain points. I needed to really listen to the guest instead of like waiting for me to respond to say something, that kind of thing. So that was like the best thing for me from what I saw. So.
Yeah, live shows are totally different. They're like a different animal than doing a regular vodcast, let's say, because it's live. You know, you don't get the chance to go back and cut stuff out or, you know, change things. It is what it is. Once you go live, that's it.
the thing that we get from it, because we used to go like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours of like recording, and then I would have to edit that down to like 45 minutes. And so now with live, it's like a little.
Nope, we lost them.
I wonder what's happening. No, but the best thing part about live, I'll continue that thought that he had, because I'm pretty sure that he was talking about. It's you know, after 45 minutes, we're like done. We're ready to end the show, and sometimes we go a little over. We probably go up to 50, 52 minutes sometimes. You know, it all depends. But in the end, it's a much more concentrated show on the topic that we're talking about, and it feels a lot better instead of just going. We go off on tangents as it is, but but now that we got to condense it, we need to really talk about the subject that we're talking about as well. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The only thing I miss about the fact that we used to do the recording is we would have outtakes or after show where we would, like, when we ended our broadcast, we'd still talk to the guest, and sometimes that was like some of the funniest moments that would come up. That's the only thing I kind of miss, because. Yeah, and we would let them know, hey, we're going to still record and put this on there, and we would just keep going. Or, you know, if we stop something in mid-thought, like in the previous thing that was funny, we'd expand upon it again. That's the only thing I really miss, because that was fun.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've heard a couple different things from a bunch of different people about how long you should keep your show. You know, some say you should do a time limit at a half hour or 1 hour, and then other people just say just keep going until you're done talking about the topic. You know, are you guys one of those shows that sits down and plans and strategizes every episode?
Very little. I mean, we do some. You know, we do an outline.
We used to do a lot of prep
at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then we stopped, and now we just put like 4 or 5 items that we want to talk about. We put it on Trello that we could both look at it, and then, which is a software for project management, and we just look at, okay, we're going to talk about this, and then as long as we talk about it, and then it's in my brain to talk about it and bring it into the conversation. So
yeah, that's great. That's great that you guys have a
process. We used to have a lot of questions. No, we used to have a lot of questions, and like, we used to do like a pre-show and go over everything. And now, since we've been doing this for 4 months now, something like 3-4 months, we sort of understand where each other's going, and we do put notes down. And if it's going away we don't want to, I'll text him, or he'll say something to me privately, and we'll be like, hey, let's get it steered back onto this. You know, we've had a few guests that, you know, we're like, hey, we haven't talked about this one thing that we absolutely need to talk about, and then, you know, Nick is always like, so about this thing, you know, and it's good because he knows where we're at, and we're both going back and forth, and we're communicating. So anyway, it's So we do a little prep.
I'm always cognizant. I've been really good about that. Yeah. So that's been good. Sorry. Now I'm talking over Russ. So that's been a crazy.
No, it's
Sorry,
difficult
Russ,
because my internet keeps slowing down, and then I feel like I'm like a few questions behind you guys.
No, you're doing great. You're doing
Oh,
great.
it's weird.
No, but you guys seem like you have really great chemistry together. You know, you work well together. You banter off of each other really well. The podcast episode that dropped on October 3rd, the Rick Moranis and COVID episode, really had me laughing out loud by the way Nick was saying Moranis, you know, and how, you know.
Yes, Moranis.
Moranis,
And then, yeah.
I
And
mean,
then
you
he
know,
had me
And it
question,
wasn't
wait,
intentional. It was
Right.
just coming out that way. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to say it that way. You know, it's like that's what's so funny. Because it's like, oh God, I can't talk like that. What am I doing? So,
I mean,
yeah.
you guys literally talk about serious topics because Rick Moranis got knocked out on the street, you know, and then you're talking about COVID. But at the same time, you guys bring a comedy aspect to it, and you know you're hilarious, so it's great.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
thank you.
So how has the quarantine affected you guys? Has it been negative on your show?
I think, well, first of all, we started because we got into quarantine. Number, you know, so
See? Yeah.
second, for me, the first 4-month period, I literally went out once a week just to get groceries. That was it here in Jersey.
Yeah.
Because people were dying like fly. I mean, they were like dying like crazy over here. Everybody was dropping dead, and I was really, really scared to leave the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then once the numbers leveled off a little bit, and we were able to, you know, the economy opened a little bit, and the stores opened, and what have you. Then I planned my trip to Greece and all of that. But then, of course, I was getting my airline ticket kept getting canceled, and
It kind of actually became comical with how many times the airlines kept dropping his flight, and then Nick would explode and be like, "Mother," like, you know, like, and I was just like, because it would be like every couple of days you'd have a new flight, and then they would cancel it like the next day, and then Nick would be pulling his hair out, like if you see one of our episodes, you know. And I was just like, man, they just don't want you to go to Greece, Nick. And he's like, but for me, you know, the quarantine, I started in March, and yeah, we only went out to, actually what we did the first, I want to say 3 months, we had delivery service to us. And then I told my wife, I was like, you know, I've calculated how much I've had to give in tips, and that's how much we could be paying for like other stuff. I was like, I'm tired of paying people tips. So I was like, you know what, we'll just do the curbside service. And then as things appeared to be it seemed, I don't know, better. I'm not going to say it was totally better,
Right.
but I started putting on masks and going and, you know, gloving up if needed to be. And I mean, we stocked the heck out of toilet paper the first like month. I mean, we had so much toilet paper in our house because every time we went somewhere, we bought toilet paper, and because you only could buy one roll. So we just had like, I haven't bought toilet paper in 3 months. So the first month we stocked up on toilet paper and water. And hey, in case it gets really bad, at least we'll have water and we can wipe our asses. And she was like, I'm good to go. And then I was like, and I had a friend tell me that, you know, you should probably get baby wipes in case you can't get plumbing or sewage or something like that. So we bought a case of baby wipes from Amazon. I was like, hey, we'll be clean, hydrated, and clean asses. So, and then we got a bidet too, so that helped as well. So we installed a bidet, and so we had some. So the French did it right, man. They had the cheese.
Man, you guys were all set.
I've been saving that joke for our podcast, and I use it on yours. So there you go.
Well, thank you. I noticed that at the end of your show, you guys do a Saturday social media shout out. And I think it's really great that you guys are helping support other shows, because for me, I think that's really what the podcasting community is about. You know, we build each other up, not pull each other down. But so what kind of made you guys want to do something like that?
I was listening
that's actually
to
all the rest,
another podcast.
So.
I was listening to another podcast, and I loved how they were like talking about people, and they were like, hey, this person commented, and I'm like, we have that, why don't we do that too? Like, I was like, I'm just gonna straight up steal it from them. And so I was like, I need a catchy name, and I was like, well, we're gonna do it on Saturdays. We don't need it the other day we do a podcast. And that way we could just kind of, it's just not so much work that I had to go and look at everything every day. You know, I get on Friday night and look to see who's done comments and who's contributed, And, we got podcasts, but we also have listeners. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to show appreciation to them because I think it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And so, Ian, if you're listening to this one, thanks for the idea, buddy.
I guess staying on the topic of supporting each other, do you guys want to talk a little bit about PodVcom and what it's all about?
Yeah. It got born out of, there's two other podcasts, Tom from Pod Jerky and Sarah from Blackbird and Advocacy Podcast. And Sarah had made a comment, I forgot, in a group or something. I don't remember where it was from. And then Tom was chiming in, and I was actually talking to them separately, like befriending them separately. Yeah. And I was like, I got on a group thing. I was like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do this thing, because like a Facebook page, a group, and we have a whole bunch of podcasts come on, because I've been watching this podcast, or this, not podcast, it was a Facebook page called Facebook Quarantine. And anybody could jump on and sing karaoke quarantine. That's what it's called. Anybody could jump on and sing a song karaoke, and it was live, and people commented, and this page blew up. Like, people loved it. Like, everybody from around the world was doing this, and I was like, we got to figure out how to do this for podcasts. And so we spent we created the group, we created the page, we spent like weeks and weeks trying to figure out ways to do this, and we tested it, and we started inviting some of our friends that we made, and it was really funny because the first time that we did a sign-up sheet, we used Google Docs, which we'll never use again. We had to sort of like beg people to come and do this because they didn't know what the heck we were doing, and they were like, "This is weird." And so we did fill up the show. We wanted to do 3 days initially, but it came down to 2 because we just didn't have enough people to sign up. But in 24 hours, we had around 20 live podcasts go on. We also had panel discussions so that people could like things about how to help your podcast and stuff like that. And then we had some funny panel discussions as well. And it was a great success, and people said, we can't wait for the next one. And we said, well, after that, we did a postmortem, and we said, we're thinking about doing one in November or December. And so we decided to do one in December and have it a holiday theme. And when we opened it up to podcasts to join, we were full within the first hour. And we did a 3-day this time.
Right.
And we actually had to open up more. We had to open up, I think we opened it twice more. Added more time slots, and we now have a waiting list.
Wow! I mean, I watched a lot of the videos from the last one you guys did with Tom, and I was very surprised because Tom was live like all the time, like for 24 hours straight. I think it was like Tom was just constantly live on Facebook, and. I remember you, Russ, you had
he did not go to sleep for 24 hours.
Yeah. So I watched a lot of the panels that you guys had on last time, and I got in touch with Tom, and I'm actually going to be speaking at the next one in December. So I'm one of the podcasts that signed up.
Nice.
Yes, I'm excited because you're on you have a podcasting panel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to be on the podcasting panel.
That's great. So
totally looking forward to it. I'm so stoked. But all right, guys.
Yeah, we're excited for everybody. No, we're so excited, and we love the fact that there's a lot of people involved. I mean, we start off with I think 20 groups 20 podcasts initially, and now we're at almost 300 people in our group, or 20 people. Sorry, now we're like almost 300, and it's exciting stuff, and we're glad to have you on board and part of this.
That's awesome, man. That's amazing. You guys are doing great with this. It's really some great work. But all right, guys. So I think that's about it. That's all the questions I got for you tonight. So what I like to do at the end of every episode is have my guests tell my audience one tip that they think is really important to vodcasting. So do you guys have any advice?
I'll let Nick start.
Mine is don't be scared. Just come from the heart and just be true to yourself. Everything will work out just fine.
I think, I do echo what Nick said, and, don't be scared. But, for vodcasting, I think doing the live, or I don't know if you want to do live, but if you did live, I think it adds a whole nother level to your podcast, because people, I think because of this quarantine, there's not much out there that they get to interact with. That's why podcasting and vodcasting have become so popular, is because we're doing conversations, all right? And people miss conversations with other adults. And when they get to chime in and do comments, they're part of your show. They're part of your universe that you've created. And I think they appreciate that more. So don't be afraid to even go live. You don't have to do it all the time if you don't want to, but I think it's a good experience, and it gives the people a way to interact and have that communal experience, because that's what we're missing right now. We're missing the communal experience, and people are thriving, are wanting that communal experience. And until we can get back to some level of normalcy, this is the way we are going to be interacting with each other.
I think that was very well said.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. So thank you, Nick and Russ, for coming on the show today. You guys were awesome. Nick and Russ run a podcast called Nick and Russ Don't Know Anything. Okay, it's available everywhere. They have an official website, nickandruss.com. Yep. So head on over there and listen to all their previous episodes. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
And love your stuff.
Thank you. I'll see you guys next time.